In the world of Zen and Buddhist thought, silence is often more profound than speech, and actions born of the heart transcend the need for words. There is a saying in Zen, "The finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. Look beyond the finger to see the truth." Forgiveness, similarly, is not in the words uttered but in the depth of one's intention. What does it mean, then, to forgive someone in silence and let go entirely, never speaking to them again? Is it a selfish act of avoidance, or could it be the highest form of compassion? In Buddhist teachings, forgiveness is not about granting others freedom from guilt, but freeing oneself from the burden of resentment. Holding on to anger is likened to grasping a hot coal, intending to throw it at someone else, only to burn yourself instead. But what happens when forgiveness demands no confrontation, no explanation, and no words? What happens when forgiveness is complete in silence and the bond with the other is severed forever? This story explores a profound journey of silent forgiveness, a path that balances the wisdom of letting go with the compassion to leave behind both harm and the shattering of the mirror. The shattering of the mirror. There was once a seeker who lived in the quiet embrace of the mountains. They had built their life around trust, believing that every connection with another was a mirror reflecting the purity of their own intentions. To them, relationships were sacred threads woven into the fabric of existence. But one day, the mirror shattered. A betrayal, sudden and deep, struck the seeker's heart. It came not from a stranger, but from someone they held closest. The details of the betrayal do not matter, for in Zen, the nature of suffering is universal. Whether it is a harsh word, a broken promise, or an act of malice, the pain it causes ripples through the soul all the same. The seeker, stunned by the wound, retreated into silence. They sat before their shattered mirror, staring at the shards of what once was, unable to move forward. Anger surged like a wildfire. Sorrow poured like unending rain. They clung to the question that haunts so many, why? But Zen wisdom whispered, why is not the way is to see. The first lesson of forgiveness. The seeker turned to their teacher, an old sage who dwelled in simplicity. The sage listened patiently as the seeker poured out their anguish, their confusion, and their desire for justice. When the seeker finished, the sage smiled faintly and said, "Do you see that tree outside? Strike it with your hand and tell me what it does." The seeker, puzzled but obedient, struck the tree. It stood firm, unmoved, offering neither retaliation nor response. The sage spoke again. "The tree has been harmed by your hand, but it does not complain. It does not follow you, demanding answers. It accepts what is, continues to grow, and lets the wound heal with time. Can you not be like the tree?" The seeker protested. "But the tree is silent because it feels nothing. I am human. I feel everything." The sage nodded. "Yes, but your feelings are your own. The betrayal is a single moment. The suffering is your choice to carry it forward. Forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace." The choice of silence. The seeker struggled with the sage's words. Could forgiveness truly be complete without acknowledgement? Could peace be found without confrontation? These questions lingered as they meditated by the river, watching its gentle flow. Days turned into weeks. One morning the seeker noticed a fallen branch in the water. It twisted and turned, snagged on rocks, resisting the current. The river, indifferent, continued its journey. The branch eventually was swept away. In that moment, clarity emerged. The seeker realized that clinging to anger was like the branch resisting the river. It created only struggle. To forgive in silence was not to condone the harm, but to release oneself from its grasp. It was to let the current of life carry the pain away, without the need for confrontation or explanation. The seeker made their decision. They would forgive the one who had hurt them but would not speak of it. The bond, once strong, had been severed. To attempt to repair it would be like trying to fuse shattered glass. The sharp edges would only wound again. The act of silent forgiveness. On a misty morning, the seeker performed a silent ritual of release. They sat beneath the same tree the sage had pointed out, closed their eyes, and visualized the person who had wronged them. They did not deny their pain or pretend the betrayal had not occurred. Instead, they allowed themselves to feel every emotion fully: anger, sorrow, disappointment, until it burned itself out like a dying flame. Then they spoke softly to the image in their mind. "I forgive you, not because you seek it, but because I no longer wish to carry this weight. I release you, and I release myself." Tears flowed, not of sorrow but of liberation. When they opened their eyes, the world seemed brighter, as if the colors had been washed anew. The path forward. The seeker never spoke to the betrayer again. Some might view this as avoidance, but the seeker knew otherwise. In Zen, true forgiveness does not require reconciliation. It is enough to release the grip of anger and move forward with compassion, for oneself and for the other. Over time, the wound healed. The betrayal became a memory, no longer a source of pain. The seeker's heart, once heavy with resentment, became light and open again. They realized that forgiveness in silence is not an act of weakness, but of profound strength. It requires the courage to let go, to accept what cannot be changed, and to walk away without looking back. The depth of silent forgiveness. To truly understand the teaching of forgiving in silence and walking away, one must reflect on its layers. At first glance, this path may seem cold, even heartless. Why not confront the one who wronged you? Why not seek closure or demand accountability? The truth lies in the essence of Zen and Buddhist philosophy, which teaches us that suffering arises not from the actions of others, but from our attachment to those actions. Silent forgiveness is not a retreat from confrontation, but a deliberate choice to dissolve conflict at its root. When we forgive silently, we are not seeking validation from the one who hurt us, nor are we engaging in the cycle of blame or justification. Instead, we are choosing to free ourselves from the chains of resentment, which, like a shadow, follow us as long as we give them power. Forgiveness without expectation. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is that all suffering arises from attachment. Attachment to desires, outcomes, or even the need for justice. Silent forgiveness embodies this truth. It does not seek an apology or a change in the other person. It lets go of the expectation that the one who caused harm will ever understand or acknowledge their actions. This is a radical form of compassion, not only for the other person but for oneself. To demand an apology is to keep oneself tethered to the past, waiting for a resolution that may never come. Silent forgiveness releases that tether, allowing one to move forward unencumbered. The power of non-attachment. In Zen, there is a saying, "Let go or be dragged." When we cling to anger or the desire for revenge, we become prisoners of our own emotions. The act of forgiving silently and walking away is an exercise in non-attachment. It is an acknowledgement that holding on to the past only prolongs our suffering. By letting go, we do not deny the reality of the pain we endured. Instead, we transcend it. We acknowledge it, its presence, honor its lessons, and then release it into the flow of life. In this way, silent forgiveness is not an act of weakness, but of profound strength. Walking away without hatred. 3. Walking away without hatred. Walking away after forgiving in silence is often misunderstood. It is not an act of avoidance or spite. It is a recognition that some relationships, once broken, are best left behind. Zen emphasizes the importance of harmony. If a relationship no longer serves mutual growth or brings peace, then to cling to it is to create disharmony in one's life. Walking away is not a rejection of the person, but of the toxicity that the relationship has become. And yet, this departure must be done without hatred. To walk away with bitterness in one's heart is to carry the seeds of resentment into the future. True silent forgiveness means walking away with peace, wishing the other well, even as you let them go. The silence of understanding. 4. The silence of understanding. Silence in Zen is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the space where words fall away and truth reveals itself. Forgiving in silence is an acknowledgement that words are often insufficient to convey the depth of our emotions. By remaining silent, we allow the act of forgiveness to exist in its purest form. It is not diluted by explanations, arguments, or justifications. It is a silent offering of compassion, extended not only to the other person, but to ourselves. The self-healing journey. 5. The self-healing journey. Silent forgiveness is not just about releasing the other person, it is about healing oneself. When we forgive, we reclaim the energy that was tied up in anger and pain. We create space in our hearts for peace, joy, and growth. In Buddhist practice, forgiveness is seen as an act of self-purification. It is like cleaning a wound so that it can heal properly. If we allow resentment to fester, it poisons our minds and hearts. But when we forgive, we cleanse ourselves of that poison, allowing our true nature, compassion and wisdom, to shine through. The ripple effect of forgiveness. 6. The ripple effect of forgiveness. Though silent forgiveness may seem like a solitary act, its impact ripples outward. When we let go of anger and resentment, we radiate peace to those around us. Our interactions become more compassionate, our presence more calming. In this way, silent forgiveness contributes to the greater harmony of the world. By freeing ourselves from the cycle of blame and retribution, we break the chain of suffering and set an example for others to follow. The wisdom of impermanence. 7. The wisdom of impermanence. At the heart of this teaching lies the Buddhist understanding of impermanence. All things, relationships, emotions, and even pain, are transient. To forgive silently and walk away is to accept this truth. It is to recognize that clinging to something that has already passed only prolongs our suffering. By embracing impermanence, we learn to let go with grace. We understand that just as the seasons change, so too do our connections with others. What once was may no longer be, and that is okay. Forgiveness as liberation. Forgiveness as liberation. Silent forgiveness, when practiced with sincerity, becomes a profound act of liberation. It frees us from the prison of the past, from the need for closure, and from the cycle of pain and retribution. It allows us to step into the present moment with clarity and peace. The seeker's journey is a reminder that forgiveness is not something we do for others. It is a gift we give to ourselves. By forgiving silently and walking away, we honor our own well-being and create space for new growth. Forgiveness without words, forgiveness without words. In Zen, the greatest truths are often expressed without words. The sound of a bell, the sight of a flowing river, or the stillness of a mountain can convey more than any teaching spoken aloud. Similarly, silent forgiveness speaks volumes. It says, "I choose peace over conflict. I choose freedom over bondage. I choose to walk the path of compassion, even when it is difficult." May we all find the strength to forgive silently, to walk away with grace, and to embrace the boundless peace that lies on the other side. Closing message. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.